up? What up? What up? Welcome to another edition of the New Balance Podcast. It's your host, your potential conditioner, H2O, and with me is my lovely co-host, Nicole Hickerson. What up?
What's up?
Back in here for another one.
Yeah.
Man, how we just having too much fun. This whole month we've been rocking. I think some of the shenanigans from last week's episode is on this episode, but it's all good, right? It's all good. What up, New Balance Podcast family? We hope you guys are doing well. Hopes this video finds you well. And as always, man, we're excited to be able to come into your home, on your iPad, on your phone, however you watch this. We're just so appreciative to be rocking with you. And we have started this series. We're getting to the end of it. But we started this series 3 or 4 weeks ago on legacy. And it's really been a blessing to the both of us, to our family. And wow, all of the input, all of the comments, and just the words of love and respect, we definitely appreciate it. And so we're just happy that the content that we're putting out is being a blessing, is helping and making a difference in the lives of people. What about you, Nicole? How has this experience been for you and the impacts of it, with this being our first project together?
It's been great being able to be on the podcast since we've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's just been great. Something to look forward to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is just the beginning of many, many more to come. This whole legacy conversation, it's grown in so many different things. And no way could we have set this up. If you've been watching the news, you've been keeping up with current news, you see a bunch of legacy moments happening. And one thing that kind of came to mind, I didn't talk about it last week, but it slipped my mind, but I definitely want to mention it. We're in a transition season, and we see there are a lot of those who came before us who laid strong and powerful legacy foundations. They're transitioning, and probably one of the more recent ones was that of Sidney Poitier, the profound actor, who set an example, who was that individual, on and off the screen for so many decades for us. Is no longer with us, but the legacy of what he did and the legacy of the generation he come from, it will last forever. And so when you think about his body of work, the things that he's done and how many people he's inspired, it's not enough time in the day to talk to all of them, because there's so many stories, so many insights, and so many just powerful, life-changing moments that came from his life. So we definitely are praying for his family, his friends, during this season, and really for the world, because we definitely we no longer have someone here who was a trailblazer. And I think that's one of the things we haven't spoke about as we talked about legacy. When we look at our faith, man, there were so many trailblazers in the faith that came before us, who trailblazed legacies that we're all benefiting from on today. What about in your generation? Who do you know, any trailblazers or anybody that you would consider a trailblazer in your generation?
Oh, wow.
I can think of a few. I can definitely think of a few that I think are trailblazers, and they're birthing out things to come. I definitely think of a few. You can't think of anybody right now?
Definitely thinking of the young poet that spoke at the inauguration.
You stole one of mine.
Definitely, because first of all, just having someone that looks like me talk on such a huge platform
Yep.
is really impacting
Yep.
like me. And I know a lot of other girls specifically in our generation.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's totally.
I definitely agree with you. You're spot on with that one for sure. And I think we've watered down legacy um, just for adults. I do agree that it needs to start with adults and they should lead the way. But sometimes God will skip a generation and move and speak through another generation who's going to obey him and do exactly what he says. And seeing that young lady just to have that opportunity, I know it was life changing for her, but it's life changing for her family. Can you imagine, like you said, all of the not only just young Black girls, but just young girls, period. Man, you get to speak at the president's inauguration. That is huge. And I think we need to take more time, to honor and give big ups where big ups are definitely deserved. And so that's definitely a trailblazer. Another trailblazer, I think, we should acknowledge on the podcast. I know this young lady named Nicole Hickerson, right? I mean, I think she's a trailblazer. I mean, in her own right. I've been trying to get with her agent, trying to book her, but she has a lot of stuff going on. So I'm just saying, I think she is. I don't want to talk about any other ones, but I mean, maybe we can talk about her on another podcast. I'm just saying. That's just my thoughts. All right, let's get to a podcast. As we stated, we've been talking about legacy and just having a legacy. How do you have it? And I think today, one of the questions that's going to drive this podcast is what does legacy look like? And we've talked about the different aspects, and we've tried to give you some practical things, some steps, and share some examples that would spark one hope, possibly initiative. But today, we're going to look at what does legacy look like. I know you can talk about it, you can discuss it, but you still need a model, right? And I think we have a huge responsibility to be role models of legacy. And I'm doing my very best to be a role model of that. And the more role models we have, the better off we can be. So one scripture that has just been throughout all of the the podcast we've done is where it talks about in Proverbs 13 and 22, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And we've stated it over and over. Everything that me and my wife that we're doing for people we haven't even met yet, right? Obviously, our kids, they come first and foremost, but one day we hope to be grandparents and great grandparents. And some of the things, and not some of them, all of them, are a direct result of what we want to happen, not just for now, but in the long game. And that's for our children's children. And it's important to me. It's important to the people that I'm connected to that we function in that we walk in that we show that, right? One of the other things we've been talking about throughout these podcasts, we talked about what we do, who we are, how it's weaved in every single thing that we do in life. And for us, that's our faith. We are unapologetically believers, and our faith is everything. So everything that we do, our faith is weaving into it, right? And we talk about fabric. There was a time where fabric had a different quality, and not that the fabric that we have today that it's not good, but there was a time where fabric had to stand the test of time. I remember the stories of my mom and her older brother telling me how he only had like one pair of pants, one pair of shoes, and how it had to last them.
Yeah.
Right. Because it wasn't money just to go shopping and You wouldn't get in 10 pair of jeans and 10 pair of shoes and all of that. And if you're blessed to do that, no disrespect, no knock against that. But I'm just talking about a certain time and a certain season, how the quality of what they had, it had to be durable. And when we think about legacy and what we do, it's about that legacy being durable. So
Yeah.
one of the things I want to do is honor that era, right? So I'm not necessarily want to go back just to having one pair of pants and just one pair of shoes, but I am pulling, that concept of the fabric being just durable, standing the test of time, and all of the things that it had to go through, all the multiple uses that that fabric went through, but yet it was still hold up and they were able to wear it. So today I challenge you, like, look at what you're wearing. I know what I'm wearing. I know what was passed down. I wear it proudly. I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm going to make sure that the things that I'm wearing, I'm going to pass on to you.
Yeah.
And I know without a doubt, you, your brother, and your sister, you're going to pass those things to our children, to your children's children, like the scripture said. So
Yeah.
when you talk about what does legacy look like, these are the things it look like. It looks like the fabric that we wear. It looks like the things that we have embraced in life, right? And so today, I want to get into some ways that we can build a powerful legacy, so we can help people know what it looks like. And one of the things we also talked about when you're talking about building, what does the legacy look like? There needs to be markers where God was and what he did throughout our family, right? In our family, we talk a lot about imprint, right? Me and my wife, we've done our very best to put a godly imprint on you, Matthew and Kayla.
Yeah.
And we're thankful for that. But we understand that not only is it just me and your mom that's going to be on your destiny track? That's another part, parents. Know this, the work that you do, the things that you instill in your kids, they are so important. And trust me, when you hear me talk about my grandfather, my grandmother, and my mother, that is my foundation in the things of God, a lot of things in life. But do not get it twisted. God sent other people on this destiny track that have helped me, that have been a rock for me. They've left their imprint on me as well. And so I would dare not talk about legacy and not talk about all the other people that God has sent into our lives. So
Yeah.
for that, I'm so thankful. And I said that to say, parents, no, you're not in this work by yourself. God's going to raise up other people. I already know. God's already done it. God blessed her with a mentor. We talked about in one episode that was such a blessing to her. And when she gets to college and the things, they're going to be the other people that are going to make deposits into her life. And it's going to be kind of like constructing a home. But we know the most important part of that home is the foundation. So be the foundation and create that legacy.
Yeah.
And God's going to be faithful to send the other pieces in when it's time for them, right?
Yeah.
And we used to say back in the day, it takes a village to raise, it takes a village to create a legacy. Even though God can use a person to do it. But when you look at the long haul and the overall work of it, it would have been a village that had done it. So I'm just thankful and I'm grateful. And to anybody that has helped me and you've been on my destiny track, I'm the type of person, man, when if we're in a relationship and no matter what level of that relationship we're at, I'm committed to it. And so to anybody, man, that has been with me or been with my family and helped us, man, big ups to you. Thank you so much. There's too many names to name, but you know who you are. And we just really appreciate you being contributors to our legacy, right? So let's jump into these ways, if you will, to build a powerful legacy. One of the things with building a legacy, or just in building in general, if you ever been to a construction site is a messy place. It's a noisy place. There are a lot of things going on, and when you're building, and especially on a construction site, you have to be focused locked in. Why? Because your life depends upon it. You know, they're constructing, they're tearing down, they're constructing, they're putting things together. It's multiple contractors, there are multiple people, there are multiple things that have to be signed off on and approved. It's so much that goes into building. So when you're building something, things go wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
So one of the key things is when you're building a legacy, you have to dare to be joyful. You understand? You have to serve in ways that bring you joy. And one of the things the Hickerson family knows, we're going to do a lot of stuff, but we know the number one thing is we're going to have some fun doing it and we're going to have some joy. I don't want to be doing anything with anybody that's sourpuss and just dreading it and that's not going to work. We're not going to cut it. I've learned that when you have joy, joy can help you get through moments and seasons like nothing else, right? It's nothing like doing something and you hate it. You hate doing it. I promise you, it's gonna be tough to build a legacy that way.
No, it really is because a legacy really it doesn't have like a physical appearance. It's really noticeable when you see certain responsibilities mimicked through other people that have been in your life, and then in whatever responsibility that is, it should bring you joy, or it should at least have an impact on other people. Because, like we said before, it's not just about you.
Man, like I said, I don't even know why I'm on the podcast. They told me back in makeup that I was just a prop or something. I don't why I'm on here. I mean, did you hear that answer? Like that is so true. That's fire. You know, what's the song? It takes two, baby. It takes two, baby. It takes two, right?
Yeah.
Or don't make me see another version. It
Yeah.
takes two to make a thing go right. Okay, come back to the podcast.
Yes.
Okay, I know I can't sing, but you get the point. It takes two. And I hope I'm doing everything in my power. I hope I'm modeling the fact that obviously God gave me this platform, this podcast, but I dare not be on here without my lovely co-host. Now, I want to say something to you, and this is important about legacy. This is our first time doing a podcast together this year, right? Last year, I think I did 41 episodes.
That's all right.
Right? Thank you. Oh, that's a good place to clap. Now, watch this. You never saw her on a podcast, right? You never saw her on a podcast. But trust me, she was giving me input behind the scenes. And the things she was giving me input on was so valuable, right? Just because you start behind the scenes doesn't mean you're gonna always be behind the scenes. I love the story of Joel Osteen, man. He was in media. He wasn't thinking about being no pastor, definitely not the pastor of Lakewood. He's busy focused doing his assignment. But at the appointed time, legacy called for him.
Yeah.
Because see, legacy is about a race. And all of us have a time limit in the race. And obviously his dad's time was coming to an end. But because God understood that what was built had to continue, he had Joel in mind. And at the appointed time, it called for him. And so this is your appointed time. This is just an introduction of you being on camera, being on set, speaking to thousands of people around the world. Why am I saying that here and now? Because some of you feel like what you do is insignificant. Like, how am I gonna build a legacy and I'm not the torchbearer? You don't have to be a torchbearer to help build legacy.
Yeah.
Nobody had ever seen my daughter in terms of physically being on a podcast, but yet her and my son had their hands on every episode. Like, I value their input. I value what they see or their ideas. I value. Now, did every idea and everything that she gave me, did I use them? No. but it helped me to understand what I was doing, and it helped me think in a way that I wasn't thinking. So who does that benefit? It benefits the viewer.
Yeah.
She was giving me input based off of the viewership, right? It wasn't personal. It wasn't, make me look good, even though they were doing everything to help me look good and be good. But I'm just trying to show you, when it comes to legacy, there are different roles, right? And even though I'm the torchbearer in this legacy race, there are sometimes I'm not serving as the torchbearer. Sometimes I'm assisting the person that's going up to light, or I'm assisting the person by handing the baton off in the next leg. So understand the roles of legacy. There are definitely roles in the legacy. Is there anything you want to add to that in terms of talking about just your roles in legacy?
Yeah, I do. Just picking back off of what you said, like with the podcast, or even just your promo videos. You didn't see me or my brother physically, like in front of the camera, but
Right.
like we were behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Like,
Grinding.
I'm gonna.
Grinding.
I know you're gonna be okay with me bringing.
Hold
this
on.
up.
Late night grinding. I'm
I
talking
was about
about.
to bring that up.
Okay, go ahead. You can tell the story. Go ahead.
So starting out, starting his platform, getting his brand out there, working in with his work schedule, he worked a lot of late nights. So it was me and my brother's responsibility to have the lighting set up, to test the lighting, test the microphone, everything in between, to make sure that everything was running smoothly, so that when he got home, he could just record and be done with it. And even though it sounds like easier said than done, it was still a lot.
It's a lot.
In between, it was a lot of takes. It was a lot of adjusting, especially. It would, like, having your role in that, you understand the significance of it and the importance of it. So you value it. You just don't do it because you have to do it, or, oh, you just want to be remembered. There's a lot more to it than that.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And might I add, they were non-paid employees.
For a long time.
They were non-paid employees. You heard for a long time, right? But all of it's part of teaching them legacy, right? And I'm gonna tell you now, it's gonna be some sleepless nights. If you're thinking you're gonna do this between 9 to 5, you can forget about it. You can forget about it. It's gonna cost you something. If it costs Jesus Christ his life, understand anything that you do for God, it's gonna cost you something. It's gonna cost you your time. It's gonna cost you your treasure, right? It means you're going to have to sow into it. You believe it? Legacy just doesn't happen. You got to sow into legacy, right? And the third thing is, it's going to cost you your gifts, your abilities. The things that God gave you, he wants you to give them back to him. Yes, ma'am.
I also want to piggyback off of what we were just talking about.
Well,
and during the times like when we would be recording, and let's say, we're not perfect, maybe one or two things might not be all the way right. he would treat us like we're on an actual set. Yes, we're his kids, but he would always he's purposely hard on us, and he calls us out on stuff like that because other people, they'll call you out, but there's consequences that goes along with it. Because let's say the lighting is messed up and like their live broadcasting is on us, and so he puts us through those different moments so that when the time comes, it's like nothing phases us. And that's the thing about legacy too, because that's just something we're just used to. And of course, over time, like the things that we did struggle on, we improved on it, but it's all about like just figuring out what works best for you.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I would have never brought that point out. See, it takes two, baby. So I'm glad you said that because I can think of, just counting back to last year, we've done probably, 6 or 7 events. Every single one of them, the media of it, all of it, my son and my daughter has done. Every single time we've done it, I have gotten the most honorable comments about them, their work ethic, their attention to detail, their smile, how accommodating they are. All of that came out of the sweatshop. Yeah, I'll crack a hard whip because I like it's look, when it to us, we've been taught and we've learned that whatever you do for God, you should give your best effort always, right? You should just always, I was taught that my parents, my grandfather, you give your best. And the only way sometimes they learn is through making their mistakes. Well, if you're a parent, if you're a business owner, or if you're teaching them whatever, the safest place for them to learn is from you teaching them, right? I'd rather them be hard on them than someone else having to be hard on them in that way. It's definitely out of love, right? And I only did it because it's a it's for preparation, right? Legacy, when you're the one putting it in place, it is for people, as we've been saying, that I haven't met yet. But God is so unique in his approach to it. You're putting all these things in places for people who are going to show up, but the whole time God is perfecting things in you. So just like they were in the sweatshop, for me, it was a learning process for me too. Guess what? Because we're gonna have employees. I have to know how to relate to employees that are not my kids, right? I have to know how to have the right grace, like the right tone. So just like it was for them learning, it was also learning for me. And all of us have been the better for it, right?
Yeah.
And now God's growing our team. Our team is growing. I'm so thankful for it. I guarantee you, if we didn't have legacy, we wouldn't have a team. I know that for a fact. And so now we're treading in territories and going places that the eye hadn't seen, the ear hadn't heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man because of legacy and things that we have bust our behinds doing. Now we're reaping the benefits of it. So legacy, it pays off after time. Another way to build a powerful legacy is you got to monitor your impact on others. We talked a little bit about that with what we do, but you have to know what you're doing. It's going to make the biggest difference, and whatever those things are that make the biggest difference, do more of that. So we're on the podcast now because of it, right? Um, Another thing we talked about is you have to develop and maximize your talents, your strengths, and your skills.
Yeah.
You got to know yourself. You got to bring yourself. Let me sit that right there. You got to, when we talk about legacy, we're talking about building something for the future, for future generations. You have to bring yourself, right? And I'll keep going over and over talking about David. David continually brought himself to the dance.
Yeah.
Despite all of his shortcomings, despite all of his mistakes, David was legacy driven. He kept showing up. He kept bringing himself. He kept reinventing himself. He'd make a mistake. He'd make amends for it, get back up, get back in the fight, and he kept working on it. Yeah. Legacy is not just going to happen. You have to work at it, right? And when I think about develop and maximize your talents, your strengths and skills, why do you have to develop your talents, your skills, and why do you have to maximize them? Because it's going to come a day where those things that you've been working on, those things that you had built, it's going to come a day where the people that you're called to are going to need it. What do I mean? When I think about the story of Nehemiah and the supernatural work that he was able to get done with those people, they rebuild a city, a community in 52 days. That was supernatural. How could they do it? Because their leader had taken the time to develop and maximize his skills. Yeah. Nehemiah just wasn't a man who was sensitive and was connected with his heart. Nehemiah was connected with legacy. What he did wasn't about him. It was about the people who needed him, right? And because he had taken the time and developed those things, and he had a heart, right? Nehemiah, he created a legacy by his belief in what he wanted to do for those people. And I want to do the same thing. It's because of I just simply believe. I see where there's an error. I just believe we can do something to change the error. And what he did, think about the legacy that he birthed in the lives of all of those families who had who had experienced perishing predicaments, right? Think about that. They rebuild in 52 days. Can you think about the men, what they felt like after they had done that supernatural work? If I can build something in 52 days, it don't matter what comes against me in life, I can rebuild again. What about the sons who saw the fathers? What about the daughters who saw the mothers? What about the families, how it strengthened the family? Yeah. Legacy, all of that is a part of legacy. So never minimize your part of legacy at all. What's another one that we can do that can help us build a powerful legacy?
Wow. Wow. I think we should do what matters right now. Focus on
right now
issues that are really prominent right now.
Do what matters right now.
Because a lot of people, because it's recurring cycle. People that are on their deathbeds are always saying that life goes by so fast, and some people just take it for granted. Like the sphere of influence that they have.
It's got to be right now.
Yeah.
It has to be right now. Listen to me. Don't get caught up in the cycle of talking what we're going to do down there that you missed the opportunity to change for right now. Be in the now. Absolutely. I'm not saying don't plan for the future. Don't speak into the future and don't prepare for the future. I'm definitely not saying that. But what I am saying, don't be so future conscious that you are not right now conscious.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Dr. King was right now conscious. He was so right now conscious that he impacted the future. Oh my goodness. Let me say it again. Be so right now conscious that you impact your children's children. Yeah. And it's so easy to miss. So I think that's a great one. Another one is seize small opportunities. Yeah, you're looking at it. Yeah. We seize the small opportunity. What looked to be a small opportunity. Just in a year, the growth that we've had as a family, the growth we've had as our businesses, and the growth of the impact that we've had on families and communities. Yeah. Just a year. It's just a year. And so, man, the next 4 or 5 years, I'm gonna be like, whoa, wow, God, we're rocking like that. So I'm telling you, you have to seize small opportunities, right? Because I'm gonna tell you, big has the potential to follow. Yeah. Oh, you missed that. Big has the potential to follow. I can't promise you big is going to follow. I can't promise you that. And then I don't know what your definition of big is, but I'll put it into the smallest definition that I can. I can say this, it's bigger than what you're doing now. Let's say that.
Yeah. But then also you have to realize you have to start small. You can't just, it's great to like see people that you admire do big stuff like that.
Right.
There's a lot that goes behind the scenes to do something big like that.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. Oh, we're going to talk. Go ahead. I know where you're going. Go with it. I'm with you.
Because
I'm with you. Let's go where? Let's go.
Because with legacy, you have to start from somewhere. Usually it starts like a small group of people. Mm-hmm. And you have to first come up with a plan of action that makes whatever you start with successful, and then you grow from there gradually. Yeah. Because some people don't understand the importance or the responsibilities that come along with it. And then if you're not prepared for it, it just falls apart. And then it just doesn't work out.
It just doesn't work out, huh? Yeah. See, you have to seize small opportunities, right? Okay. So having a podcast now is so popular.
Yeah.
But 7 years ago, what I'm doing now, I started helping other people do.
Yeah.
So how I was sharing with them that you were giving me input off the screen. Nobody knew about me on a podcast 7 years ago, but yet I was responsible for helping 3 podcast be birthed, right? I was pretty much like the air traffic controller at an airport.
Yeah.
Nobody sees who's in that air traffic controller. All you saw were the podcast taking off and landing,
Yeah.
taking off and landing. But for me, I was cool with being up there, right? Nobody needed to know me. It was a small opportunity, but it was about birthing something in them.
Yeah.
And even then, I didn't even think of myself doing this. I just had a joy to do this, and I had a gift that God gave me that I could help people's vision and dream that they had. I knew how to articulate it and make it manifest, right? So it was a small opportunity, right? And the thing was, what I love about it is the things I was decreeing back then, 7 years ago, God is manifesting them now. You can't go anywhere. I'm talking about churches, businesses, people who selling stickers to little kids. They have podcasts. Podcast is the way. I'm just telling you, I knew this was going to happen 7 years ago. Now, did I have a podcast? No. Was I even thinking about being on a podcast? Absolutely not. But because I sowed, because I planted, because I helped build foundations in others, what we're doing now is the potential of it is crazy. It is crazy. And the other thing is this: you have to stop waiting to make a difference. See, most people will wait till they're doing a podcast for Oprah, or I'm gonna do this podcast for Steve Harvey, somebody that the world quote unquote knows. Whereas I think totally different. I don't care who you are. I think if you have a dream and a vision, you are so important. What God put in you is so important. So I believe if you believe in the gift in me, we connect. Let's do it. And it's not about how many people we reach. That's not the goal. The goal is being obedient to the assignment that's been given.
Yeah.
And it's up to God to do whatever he wants to do with the rest.
Exactly.
So if only 10 of y'all watch this podcast, or if 10,000 watch it, none of my business. My job is to be obedient, get on here, talk about what we're supposed to talk about, and leave the rest to God. So stop waiting. See, that's the thing. That's the difference. We didn't wait. I didn't wait. We put it into motion. And I'm telling you, stop waiting to make a difference. Some of you are waiting. Some of you, listen to me, some of you are waiting on lifeboats to come save you, and you're passing up. No, I said that wrong. Some of you are waiting on raptors to come save you, and you're passing up on life jackets. Take the life jacket. The life raptor is going to come later on. Many of you, the life raptors are passing by, and you're in the water and eventually going to drown because you're not taking the help. See, that little life jacket is like, man, this will hold me up for a little while. But if I could get on a life raptor, it'll save me. It's a time factor to it. The reason the life raptor keeps passing you up, you need to learn how to tread water. Exactly. Oh man. See, it's not what you think. God said his thoughts are not your thoughts. He's leaving you in that water for a reason. You need to learn how to tread water. You need to learn how to trust and depend on him when you can't see nothing but water around with no land. You need to know that as long as I'm in this water, God's going to take care of me. But if the life raptor comes and gets you before you learn the lesson, well, then you can't go to the next level. I don't know about you. I'm not trying to be here for the rest of my life. I want to be where God wants me to go. All of that has to do with legacy. You can only give out of what God's deposited into you, right? So I'm telling you, stop waiting to make a difference. Make a difference right now, and quit adding if it's a big thing or a little thing. Just be obedient to it, right? Yeah.
Another one is
start with
the closest people to you, and the ones that you spend the most time.
Listen to this. Start with those closest to you and the ones you spend the most time with. Let me break this down. At bay, that speaks to family, right? But I do want to say that there is a such thing as surrogate family, right? Oh, yeah. This is my belief. If I didn't have my daughter, Nicole, my son, Matthew, the things that they have contributed to the things that I've done, if I didn't have them, I'm fully persuaded that God would have sent the other people to help me. Oh, yeah. But due to the fact that I had them, that's where we started. So for you, you're thinking about, you got to go here, and there. You have to look. That's what you have to look within in the camp that you're in. Now, let me say this to you too. Know this about relationships. Relationships, they some certain relationships are seasonal. Like you're in people's lives for a certain season.
Yeah.
And the work that you guys do together has an expiration date on it. I'm not saying the relationship has an expiration date, right? Because there are people that I love, I'm very fond of, but we no longer work together. We don't, I don't hardly see them. We don't talk or that type of thing. Don't mean I don't love them. I don't care about them.
Yeah.
But that work that we once did is ended, right? So you have to understand what this looks like, right? I understand I'm in a brand new season,
Oh, yeah.
right? I understand I once had co-workers, if you will, and I had a certain employee, right? I understand when that job ended, I started the next job. Along with the next job comes new co-workers,
Yeah.
right? New employees. And so you have to have that mindset. But when you start, right, there's going to be a village that God is going to give you, and you're going to know who's in that village. When that village, it's time for you to leave that village, leave the village, go on to the next place.
Yeah.
Don't,
know.
yeah, you're going to know. Look, don't cry over leaving the village, even though it may be sad and disappointing because I'm very relational. Like I said, my relationships with people are very real. I love, if I'm your friend, you got a friend, right? If I love you, I love you. But when the season ends, let the season end and move to the next season. It's so critical for legacy. Listen to me. It's so critical for legacy. You can hinder and hold up the legacy by trying to stay in seasons that have ended. So move from the seasons. And listen, you owe nobody no apologies. You owe nobody no explanation.
Yeah.
You got to obey. You got to obey. And you got to be sensitive to the time, right? This is one, this is one that our lives have been built on. Our businesses, our outreach initiative, and just as people, this is what we're built on. You have to, if you want to build a powerful legacy, you have to think service, not success.
Wow.
We are in a success-driven society. And absolutely, do I want to be successful?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything I want to do, everything I touch, I want it to be good. I want it to go well. And you should want success, but not over service. No, 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 no. That's the missing ingredients in what we see in today's.
Success comes from service.
Why am I on this podcast? Why am I on the podcast? Say that one more time.
Success comes from service.
Success comes, let me add a word, directly from service.
Yeah.
And we are bypassing service to get to so-called success. Let me tell you what success looks like. It looks sustained. Success looks like over time. You can manage it and pinpoint success in seasons, right? I'm telling you now, I'm wary of success and there's no root to it. I'm wary of success that happens overnight. I'm wary of success that's here one day, gone the next, or here for no. I don't want any part of it. Matter of fact, we don't want to focus on success. We are so service driven, being servant leaders. We're focused on serving. Like we serve we serve a higher calling. We serve pleasing God. That's a service, right? I want to serve you. And so if I want to serve you and I want to please you in everything I do, I want to bring that same service. And like you said, I believe when you put in the proper service, success can't help but follow. Whatever success is designed for you. See, there is a success that's designed for a specific individual or for a specific group. All success is not the same success. So we're talking the podcast world. it's no secret if you rock with me, you know that I follow and I love and watch Inky Johnson and Eric Thomas, two phenomenal men of God doing a phenomenal work in the earth. And they both have podcasts who I listen to, very inspiring, very encouraging. And if you go out and look at the numbers and you look at the impact that they're having, it's like, whoa, they doing the doggone thing, right? But if I said my success had to be, if it was predicated on having the same success that Eric Thomas and Inky Johnson is having, that means I'm not successful, right? And it's not true, right? When you look at Eric Thomas, man, he's been in the game for over 30 years. Inky Johnson's been in the game in a minute. They paid their dues, right? It's over time, right? And so you never get into comparing, right? Right. And so you have to understand there's certain success that's tied to different individuals. Now, that's not to say one day who knows, I may have some numbers similar to theirs one day, right? And if I do, praise God. If I don't, praise God, right? It's not about that. But I'm using that to let you know you have to be focused in on the service that you should be giving. And whatever success comes with your service, rock with that success.
And just like
Okay, no, go right ahead.
and just like them, if you do listen to their podcast, it's all the same thing. They serve people. They go out and serve people. They have programs designed to serve people. That's how they become successful. It's not just they're given a platform.
Yeah, they're not they're not podcast number hoarders. Numbers. I'm doing this to get numbers. If you're doing this, what we're doing to get numbers and to get money, oh wow, what a waste of time, right? You know, God bless you. Good luck to you. But if you truly are in it to change lives, if you're truly in it to make a difference, if you're truly in it to build legacy and have a lasting impact, there's a reward for you,
because
right?
it's impacted us, because I feel like listening to the other podcasts and then, participating in some of the things that they offer has taught us.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
Like the right ways to have a podcast, or like
Oh yeah,
how to like self-evaluate yourself, especially.
Oh, for sure.
As a family, and
Yeah.
it really did really list all the things that sound like all the things.
It helps give you steps. It gives you a pattern.
Yeah.
Legacy is about. We talked about it in I think the last episode where it was giving information to Timothy. And it's like it's this pattern. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a pattern, right? Right. We thank God, Bishop T.D. Jakes. What a pattern to be on television ministry, podcast, any platform that's moving in the earth. Bishop T.D. Jakes is on it. And so it's an example to follow, right? I could name so many, but those are three that you can't help but know and follow, right? It's a pattern. It's a pattern. And you can look at the legacies of these three different men, right? I look at Tony Dungy, right? Another powerful man, right? Now watch this. I can flip the script and say other names who never had a podcast, but yet they had a podcast. Dr. King never had a podcast like this, but yet he had a podcast. Nelson Mandela was never on a podcast like this, but yet he had a podcast. You get what I'm saying? So, so many powerful teachings. Let's look at Dr. Miles Monroe. His YouTube teachings are long. He's not even with us anymore, but his teachings are living on. It's a legacy. Yeah. It's about legacy. It's about legacy. So think service, not success. And the last thing I say in terms of that, in many ways, excuse us, you want to elevate the needs of others over your own. And I think for us, if there's a definition in the dictionary for elevating the needs of others over your own, our family picture would be next to it. I mean, no, that's no bragging, that's not boasting.
That's just facts.
That's just facts. That's just facts.
Yeah.
That's the DNA I come from all my life. My family, different ministries I've served in. It was always about elevating the needs of others over your own. That's just how. That's how we are. That's how we're cut. That's how it bleeds through us. And it's going to always bleed that way. Even after we're long gone, generations after us, they'll still be carrying on this work. And I believe if we could see more of that in different facets of life, we could see a better world. We could see better families. We could see better communities and building a legacy. You have to consider doing it, because then I begin to question, what is your legacy for if it's not elevating the needs of others over your own? Like, why do you want the legacy? Why do you even have it?
Now, we're not saying to like not put yourself first when you need to, but if you have the power or the influence to do something as great as that, like creating a legacy or doing something that can impact others, and you're not choosing to do it, that's when it's an issue.
So we're talking about elevating the needs of others over your own. Is very, very important to be grounded in this. You say, well, how can I know of the needs of others, right? Or what's a good way? What are indicators? Well, I always say this: start with your heart. There are things that tug and pull at your heart. Many times you can easily overlook them, right? Because we're all created different. We all feel different. There are certain things that touch my heart that won't touch my daughter, and vice versa. So the things that touch your heart and pull at your heart, you evaluate them. It's like, okay, why does this touch me this way? Why does this bother me this way? What is it about this that I'm always drawn to these situations or these things? That's the first place you want to start. Many times I found when you have those kind of tugs, those kind of pulls, those are indicators that those are things that you should be focusing on, things you should pray about, things that you may want to get involved in because you may have the answer to the situation. That's the easiest place to start. When you get in a routine of doing those things over and over, I promise you, you'll find yourself elevating the needs of others over the needs of your own. Because then when you begin to get in contact with your heart, that supersedes just the things that you desire and want to do. That's about, it's a heart matters. It's about other people. It's about other things. The things that move my heart and just touch me in ways that nothing else touched me, that directly connected to people. It's always about people, right? It's about my family, right? It's if there's a husband in the community that I'm a part of, he's struggling. Like, what about that? How can we help this guy? How can we help this guy help his family, right? Or if there's a husband, he may find himself like he's lost his job. I know what that's like, not to be able to work and provide for your family. So I'm moved with empathy to like, hey, maybe let's come together. Let's see if we can help him find a job, or how can we help this family get through this trying time? I'm just giving you examples of things, how you can elevate the needs of others over your own. Doesn't mean that I don't have things going on. Doesn't mean that I don't have trouble or whatever difficulty, but I'm telling you, when you can find yourself focusing on those things, and we're talking about legacy, it'll help you begin to narrow down the things that you can focus and do in life. So those are just a few ways that you can build a powerful legacy. I thought I talk a little bit about developing next generation leaders, because you can't talk about legacy and not talk about developing next generation leaders. That's the whole purpose of this month. It's about having my daughter on, and it's about developing her specifically in this area, right? It's about spending time. This is a classroom, right? There's so many other things that we're learning and happening, but there's some things that we're doing while we do these podcasts. I wouldn't be able to teach her no other way. This is a live setting. I want her to learn. This is a safe place. If she mess up and whatever on here, it's all good, right? And I'd rather her have it here than other places, right? And I know some of you say, well, hey, I don't have someone, or I don't have this opportunity to do it. Okay, well, be the bridge. If you don't have a bridge to walk across, build one. Let me say that again. Stop talking about bridges that you don't have to walk. Stop talking about all the bridges that aren't there. If you see the bridges aren't there, perhaps you were born to be one of the bridge builders. So the thing that you were never to walk across, those that coming after you, they'll have the opportunities you didn't have to walk across. You are a bridge builder. She's on here because I know she's a build bridger. My son does this because I know he's a build bridger. Our oldest daughter, she's involved because she's a build bridger. There's a bridge builder inside of you. I'm getting these B's mixed up.
Yeah.
Build the bridges. Build the bridges, because it's about legacy. Dr. King marched across that bridge. Listen to me. In the most difficult season of his life, but yet he marched across it. You said just build a bridge. He walked across something that was already built. No. He walked across that bridge, was building bridges for us to walk across. Because he walked across that bridge, we'll walk across bridges now that we never would have otherwise been able to walk across.
Yeah.
You have to build it. You have to build it. Build it. Build it. I'm so thankful for all the bridges that I've had the opportunity to build. It has made me a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better businessman, a better brother, right? A better servant. It's something about you having to put your hands to the plow and work and get it, right? It's about pulling it out of the dirt. It's about that. If you're going to have a legacy, you're going to pull some of it out of the dirt.
Yeah. And the way to build bridges, one way to do it is to learn from personal experiences, and not necessarily your own, but it could be like authority figures in your life or people that you consider role models in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the ways you can develop next generation leaders is start thinking about your legacy now. We've been talking a whole month about it, and I know I've been saying it every episode, but really start thinking about the legacy now, right? You got to look at it from this, and I wrote these down because I want to be specific. Like, who is in your sphere of influence? Who is affected by your decisions, your lifestyle? How will you earn the right to influence them in the long term, right? These are things you can be thinking about. How will you impart your legacy and know it has stuck? These are things, this is how you develop them, right? You got to actively plan, you got to actively train, right? And not only do you want to actively plan and actively train, you also want to actively retain those leaders. Listen to okay. I don't know who's going to see this podcast. This is on purpose. She's getting ready to leave. She's going to go off, go do phenomenal things in college, and she's going to go and live her life. But she's going to do it connected to the family legacy of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So she's going to school for business marketing, correct?
Yes.
Right. Be graduating real soon. Do you think I'm going to go hire a business marketing strategist and God's raised one up right in my house?
No.
Do you think I'm going to make an investment here and then go pay elsewhere? I'm just talking practical. Parents, if you don't talk legacy to your children, the very thing that you need is in them. But what happens is, because we don't take the time to put legacy in place. Remember I told you in the earlier episode, if you don't give them vision and give them legacy, somebody else is. So they go off to school, which they should, right? Or they start businesses of their own, which they should. They go off with all the talents, gifts, and training that they got at home, all the things they was exposed to at home, they go off and share all of those gifts all around the world and never give it back into the family. So then what God wanted to do in your family is cut off because there was no legacy in place. And I'm telling you, we are doing it. It's cycles of it. Break the cycle. Teach them legacy. Am I telling her how her life has to be governed and how she's going to live that life? Absolutely not. But I am teaching her. I am teaching Matthew. We are telling Kate, you have a part in this legacy. So whatever you do, don't forget the legacy. You're doing what you're doing right now is because of this legacy. That's the only reason you're doing it. So you have an obligation to give back into it to make sure it continues. That's only right, right? Listen, you're either Abraham, you're Isaac, or you're Jacob. Who are you? Okay, we're talking about developing next generation leaders, and we keep saying there are no next generational leaders. Stop saying it because you're giving them away. Oh man, I know that's tough, but it's the truth. You giving them away, shipping them off, and you shipping them off with a one-way ticket. They go to the destination and they prosper everything they touch, everything they connect to, and the prosperity doesn't come back to the legacy because there is not one. Go ahead.
That causes a divide, and then the issue.
It causes a divide.
It does because anybody, they're quick to blame the other person or blame the thing that they drove away. It's never did I have a part to play in this? Did I cause them to go away? And then that causes resentment. It causes you not to want to have connections or ties to them, even if you are blood, blood related, you know what I mean? And that's just a reoccurring issue. And it can ultimately be avoided, but people just choose not to. And sometimes it's not their fault because that's probably how they were raised. That's probably what happened in their generation. That's another thing about legacy. It's like we talked about last week in the episode about resentment. You have to self-reflect and think what caused them to do that. There's always a why to everything.
Well, if that's your why, and it's not a bad thing. Yeah. If it's your why, the bad thing will be continuing it.
Yeah, and not doing it and not confronting it.
Right.
It's so easy to talk about the issue and how much it affected you, but what are you going to do about it?
Right. So I'm going to give you something to talk about. It doesn't matter if you're my generation or her generation. I'm going to tell you what God said. Deuteronomy 6:5-7. It says, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words I command you today, not tomorrow, not 5 years from now. It's I command you today shall be on your heart. Watch this. You shall teach them diligently to your children and shall talk of them when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way and when you lie down and when you rise. In other words, I'm going to teach you God's principles. I'm going to teach you legacy. I'm not going to wait. So when it is time for you to leave, this is something we've been talking about your whole life. Absolutely. You're going off to Harvard. Oh, we're excited. We're excited for you to go to Harvard. We're excited for you to go to University of Texas. We're excited for wherever you're going. You're going into the military, whatever it is you're going. But when you come out, there is a legacy that's waiting on you for you to do your part in it. Let me take it a step farther. Philippians 4:19, what you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things. What things? Legacy. What things? Legacy. The things that you've seen over and over and over and over and over. Listen, we've been asking this question every podcast. What will your legacy be? What will it be? What will it be? I'm telling you to ask the hard questions. Look yourself in the mirror have a conversation with your wife or your husband, your spouse, talk to your kids, sit down at the beginning of the year, start your year off on this track. Say, this legacy gonna govern some things this year. Because when you have legacy, some of the places I go, some of the things I do, they have to change if I'm gonna have this legacy. The way I spend my money, if we're gonna have this legacy, I'm gonna have to change that, right? What I invest my money in, is this a sound investment? Or should I be investing in something else if I want to have this legacy? Legacy is going to drive a lot of things.
Yeah.
Sit down, stop, pause, consider the cost, write it down, talk it to your spouse, talk to your children, write your plan up. Listen, if you're watching this podcast and the things we've been talking about this month, I'm going to challenge you. I promise you, this is a safe place. If you don't know how to do it, I want you to reach out to me through email, DM me, text message, send me a messenger, however you can touch me, text me, send it to me, message through one of these social media platforms, say, I don't know how to do it. We're gonna show you how to do it. We're gonna plug you in to the help that you need. Because I believe this is your year I wanna say this is your year of definition. This is your year of defining some things. I don't care what's happened before now. You can still define and redefine some things this year. Let legacy drive it. And I'm gonna ask you again, what will be your legacy? What would be your legacy? I thank God for this podcast, but it's designed to help. It's designed to help. Trust me, it's not personal or anything like that. The reason I can talk to you with this command, where I can talk to you with this type of passion, because I've been where you are right now. I know what it's like to have a head full of questions, a heart full of questions, and not know where to turn. But I thank God that He sent the people to help me. Yeah. He sent the people to help me and my wife, to help my family. And when the light bulb went off, not only did I say, am I going to get the help, but God, I'm going to be a catalyst for change to help others. Yeah. We're going to help. And this is not just a podcast. We're here to take the walk with you until you begin to manifest those things. I pray that this month of talking about legacy and hopefully seeing me and my lovely co-hosts on, and just the things that we share. Is this perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I promise you this, in the Hickerson household, every morning when our feet hit the ground, we wake up swinging at it. We wake up swinging at it. Yeah, there's still some strikes every now and again, but I promise you there are way more on bases hits and way more home runs than there are strikes. I promise you that. So as we leave today, I'm gonna ask you one more time, what will your legacy be? Man, we have had a blast sharing this podcast with you, and we look forward to bringing you more and more quality content. We're going to jump on again. We got to do one more podcast before you leave officially for college. We'll figure that out. But we have enjoyed it. We're out of time. We're over time, but it was well worth it staying on here, talking and sharing with you. As we always say, it's strength for today, sustenance for tomorrow. It's your girl, Nicole Hickerson. It's your boy, H2O, your potential conditioner. We love you, and we'll see you when we see you. Peace.
Peace.